Thank you all so much for joining us for a live virtual tour of Jerusalem's Jewish Quarter. We're joined by tour guide Anna Levina on an incredible live journey through Jerusalem's Jewish Quarter, where 3,000 years of history comes alive, embracing the importance of this city for the three monolithic religions. We're going to see archeological findings from 17th century BCE, an amazingly preserved 2,000-year-old Roman street, a majestic synagogue, an old mosque, and lots more. And we're going to finish the tour by the Western Wall, which is Judaism's holiest site and a site extremely important to both Christians and Muslims. So I again want to thank the Friends of the Tewksbury Library for sponsoring. So all 200 plus of us who are watching live and the many more that will watch the recording, let's give a big virtual round of applause to Anna for joining us today. And Anna, you can take it away. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Robert, for the lovely introduction, for the very exciting intro. Really, really fantastic to have this crowd with me tonight. I'm not sure what. Oh, okay, I know what that is. So, I think I have already been introduced, and let me just give you a little bit of the, like a housekeeping, how we're going to be doing this. I am in the Jewish Quarter for the very, I would say, simple reason why this is not a tour of a Christian quarter, or this is not a tour of a Muslim quarter, or an Armenian quarter. That's because Jerusalem is a very old city, and it has very thick walls. And the live streams are very challenging here. But there is always a but. Luckily, there is the Jewish Quarter, which is the smallest, and due to the, well, I would say some events that happened here in the 20th century, live streams from here are quite okay. There might be a few places where I might be buffering, or I might all of a sudden get disconnected, because these things you can't really control this way. No matter how many times I have done these tours, it's still possible. It still happens from time to time. I will reconnect. So once I just leave that dark zone, this is going to be it. So as I always say, Jerusalem is complex, and there are always different opinions. There is the whole geopolitical situation around Israel at the moment, as you know, and it's never a problem for me to answer questions related and appropriate, right? So this is totally fine. Again, my idea is to show that Jerusalem is equally important to the three religions. And this is the place of absolutely groundbreaking revelations and absolutely fantastic history, which everyone, regardless of religions, even absolutely atheistic people, all the atheists, really, well, we should cherish that. So without further ado, I would like to switch the camera and well, get done with the, well, let's start with the tour. So here we are, and well, Jerusalem is the city where history is like really everywhere, at every corner. If I turn like this, you are going to see an olive press that's, well, at least 2,000 years old, but probably it could be even more 3,000 years old. We don't really know. So there should be a wooden beam, well, exactly in this hole, right? And then an animal or a person would be going around this threshing floor, and this is how the olives would be crushed. And through this hole, the oil would the liquid, the oil would go elsewhere to different drainage systems. So this is the story. And well, it only begins here. The Jewish Quarter is well, I would say it's the smallest, and I would say in some sense is the youngest, and in some sense actually it's well, just as old as all the other quarters. The thing is that as you probably know, the state of Israel, like the modern state of Israel, is well, even less than a century old. It was established in 1948, the modern state of Israel. And when this happened, the next day, the war started. Israelis call it Independence War, but there are also 1948 war and many, many other terms for it. And war is war. It's never good, and people get hurt, people get killed, buildings get destroyed. As a result of this war, Israel won, but the Jewish quarter and was occupied by Jordan, and there was no way. People could, Jewish people, Israelis could actually enter this part of the city. No way. And only 19 years later, after another war, unfortunately, 1967, the Six-Day War, the Jewish quarter was liberated. That is what Israelis would say, and you could say, okay, taken, whatever. So it became part of the state of Israel, and it was badly destroyed. I would like to show you a couple of images. No worries, there's not going to be any bloodshed or anything. I would like to show you just a little bit to understand just what it looked like. Okay, so I hope you can see it. Let me know if it doesn't work. I'm sure Robert and I will be able to sort it out, but you should be able to see this. And you can. I'm showing this.
We can see it.
Thank you so much, Robert. Thank you. So it's just for you to see what it looked like. And when things finished and it became quiet here, there were lots of destructions, which gave the opportunity to historians and us tour guides discover so many things. So what I'm showing you is that, 15th centuries old Roman Byzantine street. It's the world famous Cardo. Cardo basically is a street in every Roman town, the main street, like the Fifth Avenue, the street that stretches from north to south. Look how deep it is underground, right? So what you can see is like over here, I'm showing with my finger, and I'm sorry we cannot go in downstairs, because once we go downstairs, you will lose me, because this is already underground and the walls are so thick, and this is just, you don't want me to go there, trust me. But what you can see over there, this is the modern ground level, and all this is 15th centuries of history. The thing is that I would say fill you in about the history of Jerusalem, about the periods, but I know it's going to be confusing, and that I'm open to questions, and we're going to pledged a long Q&A, but I will be happy. Your questions is my favorite part of the tour, always. So let's put it like that. Let's say I'm giving you, I would say common era. I would say, okay, very quick outline. Let's say in the year 70 AD, the second temple, the Jewish temple, was destroyed. We're going to see what's left of it. Then in 135 Common Era, the entire city gets destroyed. The Jewish city gets destroyed by Roman Emperor Hadrian. And the city is called Aelia Capitolina from then on, and it's a pagan city. The idea was of the Romans to eliminate any memory, any traces of history of Jews, because the Romans were Romans. And this is when they built the pagan city. I'm going to show you some images because, again, as I said, right now, underneath us is the big street, which is called Cardo. And it has nothing to do with heart. I know there is this common understanding that cardio, it comes from the word, like cardiac, right? Something with the heart. No, it actually means a hinge, like on the door. So it's something that opens the doors for us. But I will show you what it looked like. So you're not going to miss out on anything. And I'm going to show you a couple of maps too. So this is the street during the daytime. but it looks beautiful also at night. So this should be also fine. All these columns, you can see the road on which columns are standing. So this is that absolutely straight road that just goes throughout the city, the old city. By the way, the old city of Jerusalem is only 1 square. We do it here in meters and in kilometers. Yeah, well, and Robert, we might need some conversion here. I would really appreciate that. And it's only 1 square kilometer, the total area. Can you imagine that? And the Jewish quarter is the smallest. And what we see here, that from the both sides of these columns, there were shops. You know, on Fifth Avenue, there are also shops because this is the street where the biggest number of people just walk every day. So this is a very good place for business. And if you go into this archway, you would find lots of columns and what's left of the shops. What you see here as well, it's the map, it's the mosaic that was found on the floor in a Christian church of the 6th century in Jordan. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you, Diane. Thank you so much for the explanation, for the conversions. And on this map, you can see a very long road, straight line with the dots from both sides. So this is the corridor, and the corridor would go from south to the north. And these dots are exactly the shops. And this map is world famous. This is the Madhava map. This is the map of the Christian sites all around. I would say almost all around the world. Obviously, to as of the 6th century. It was the major discovery, one of the groundbreaking discoveries of all times, for sure. Look at that. So from here, I can safely for the live stream, for the connectivity, show you what it looked like. So the shops would be there behind the columns, and the shops would be underground over there. We will see it from the other side. And what were the shops? Oh, different kinds of shops. I'm going to show you, well, luckily, the modern day artists recreated the vibe kind of for all of us with the mosaics. So we could imagine what the life was like here in the very busy streets of not Jerusalem, Aila Italina, the Byzantine city. Well, first the Roman and then the Byzantine, when Emperor Constantine recognized Christianity as a legal religion. So these are the modern day mosaics. And you can see there were shops, different kinds, the pottery shop, where you could buy all sorts of vessels, all sorts of things for your kitchen, for your home. You know, people would just basically went shopping the same way we do it. Not really much has changed since then. The spice store, the spices, all sorts of incense, that as well. And fruits, veggies, you know, buying food for home, for cooking. Yeah, all the same things. So as you see, not really much has changed, just probably the clothing. But other than that, it's still the same. And the street goes on. And the thing is, the excavations here are in Jerusalem in general, in the old city, are very complicated because the old city is the residential area. People live everywhere, in Muslim quarter, in Jewish quarter, in Armenian and Christian quarters. And I would like to show you actually what quarters I'm talking about. I would like to share with you a map. Well, it's kind of I would say, an illustration, kind of the outline of the city. So that's what I'm talking about. And this is just, as I said, 1 square kilometers in total area. As you see, the Jewish quarter is the smallest. Muslim quarter is the biggest, Christian, Armenian, and to the right-hand side, you can see kind of a brownish, kind of a rectangular something. So this is the Temple Mount. The Temple Mount is which we are going to see from the side. This is all controlled. This is controlled by the Muslims, but anyone can access it, but non-Muslims access it through a separate entrance. Other than that, all the quarters can be visited by anyone. In fact, you're all here, and everyone is welcome. So the street goes on, and well, they would have carried on, but the thing is that over there, people live, and you cannot dig there. So it might sound really horrible and cynic of me to say that that war was a blessing in disguise. Well, but from the point of view of understanding of the history and understanding the heritage in this regard, well, in this situation, this is the Roman Byzantine heritage. This is absolutely priceless, absolutely precious, and the importance of this discovery of is absolutely and we can but I go on because we're impressed with cars in the old city. Yes, the roads are very narrow, and I have no idea how people manage to park, how people manage to do parallel parking and go through the gates. But yes, this happens. People do this. There's one more discovery. Well, if you just from the first glance, it might look just like a pile of stones. However, it's not really a pile of stones. Yes, as I said, thank you so much, Robert. When I go under the arches, when I go through the archways, because of the very, very thick walls and because of lots of, I would say, very, very high, well, also thick ceilings or whatever you say. Yes, unfortunately, the connectivity might be a bit lousy, but when I'm here, let's say there's nothing, there's no roof, it's the open air, so it should be okay. And everywhere here, people live, and they live next to, well, the broad wall, the so-called broad wall. And this is years it is a 700s. This is the 8th century BCE. You know, the old cities, medieval cities, old cities, cities that are thousands of years old, they are. Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much for understanding. This city was not really designed for live streams, so I guess we should be very happy just with what we have. Sometimes I think to myself, probably too much that I'm asking from the city that is at least 3,500 years old. So this is the broad wall that King Hezekiah that ruled these these lands back then. I'm going to show you a few things. He built this wall to protect the city from the Assyrian invasion. I would like to show you a couple of things over here. So this is the King Hezekiah. And as I said, 8th century BC. He just wanted to, well, take over this land like, everybody else wanted to. The turbulent history of the Holy Land in general is because everyone always wanted to control this because it's very conveniently located just on the shore of the Mediterranean. And yes, this is the Holy Land is located on the I would say along the way of the very important trade route called Via Maris, the road of the sea from Egypt to Mesopotamia. So just controlling this land gave absolutely infinite opportunities for making money, taxes, collecting taxes, and whatnot. So, well, Sennacherib, the head of the Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much. So King Sennacherib also wanted to have his share, and he managed to invade a big part of the Holy Land. However, when he approached Jerusalem and when he saw this very thick, very long wall, which Hezekiah built at a breakneck speed, well, he didn't manage to take over Jerusalem. Also, what Hezekiah did, he built. You can see this. Kind of the illustration, King Hezekiah knew that the Assyrians would besiege the city. So he built the most important thing. He made sure that the city would have thick walls for protection. And also he made sure that the city would have water, and he built a tunnel for the water. And you can see it. It's here on this illustration on this map. And he also built And the Sennacherib besieged Jerusalem, all in vain. That never happened. I would like, however, this is just one of the illustrations of how different the interpretation can be. I would like to, while on my way to the next spot, to the next site, I would like to just provide a few quotes of how both parties, well, the Assyrians and the Judeans or Jews, looked and described that war and that siege. So, as for Hezekiah, the Judean, I shut him up. This is what the Sennacherib is saying. I shut them up like a caged bird in its royal city of Jerusalem. I surrounded him with of the city. I in their vicinity them and conquer them, plundering us as well as camel. That's interesting. Now, the Jews have to say that night the angel of the Lord strikes down soldiers in their camp to retreat to Nineveh. This is the city where he had his palace. Later, Sennacherib is assassinated by his own sons while worshiping in the temple. Let me know what is wrong with the sound. Is it buffering?
Yeah, I'm
Is it better now?
It actually is getting a little better, yes.
Okay, that's because I have just entered the open area again. So this is all good, and you have it all written. So why is it important? Why was this discovery? It's important from the point of view of history, but why else? Here we have finally the physical proof of mentioned in the Bible and also enforced by the Bible. I mean the Old Testament and about the New Testament as well. So finally, this historians were able to the extra biblical, which is absolute as well. What else do we have in the Jewish quarter? Obviously, we have synagogue. Synagogue has a quite an interesting name. It's called the synagogue, a ruin. Probably not the most poetic name for a synagogue, as it is located just next to ruins of the Roman Byzantine corridor. So these pieces of the columns, the capiteles, where you can see the tops of columns, lintels, or all these Crusader period architectural elements. Maybe. So as I said, history is everywhere you go in Jerusalem, regardless of the quarter. However, that's the synagogue I'm talking about. It's called the Hurva Synagogue, the ruins. The thing is that this synagogue is not really new. The first synagogue that was built here goes back to. Thank you so much. This synagogue the first synagogue was built in the 17th century, and then it was destroyed. Then it was built once again in the 19th century, and again it was destroyed. Then it was finally built, and everything was okay up until the Independence War. And then there was only this arched, basically the arch that was left. What I'm saying, just this, which is probably the ruins, and I would like to show you what it looks like. And then it took many years to rebuild the synagogue, and yet it's here again. So I would like to show you the photograph. So that's the result. And for at least 30 years, and then they started rebuilding it, and now we have this beautiful synagogue. However, it's not just, well, it's not like they only have a synagogue here. There is a lot more to show. And soon we'll start heading towards the Western Wall, which is equally important, as exactly as Robert said, to the three religions. Also, as you can see, next to the synagogue, there is that tower, which is a minaret of a mosque. So there are several versions about this mosque, when it was built, why it was built. But again, as I said, this division of the Jewish quarter, well, of all this into these four quarters, it's relatively a new thing, which emerged in the Ottoman period. But let me quickly walk you through the other periods that I haven't mentioned yet. So we have the Roman Byzantine, which is starting from the 4th century. Then in the 7th century, the Islam comes to these lands. Islam was originated, and it comes to the Holy Land. And then only in 1099, the Crusaders come, take over Jerusalem, and they would be controlling Jerusalem for about a century, and then they would lose it to again to Muslims. Later on, there is another period, again another Muslim period, Mamluks, and then in the 1500s, the Turks come to these lands. For a long time, actually, unfortunately, there's not much that we also there's not that we have about these lands. Why? Ottomans don't really pay much attention what's happening here. They basically collect taxes, and that's it. There's not really much, I would say, investment in this land. That's the issue. We don't know much. Not much really happening. There's just not really written sources. But then change. But before I get down to this, so see here is, so this is the different, the thing is the local time is well, 9 p.m. Let me check. And are already closed, but some are, and I would like to show you, what kind of eatery. Well, obviously, since it's the Jewish quarter, it's the kosher food. In Muslim quarter, it will definitely be halal food. And but also there are many places that have just ordinary food. Every tourist, every visitor will always be able to find something to their taste. So what I would, yeah, falafel is, I would say, the favorite food, international food, by the way, vegan, which is absolutely fantastic. It's a common food for the entire Middle East, not just Israel, obviously. And I think it made its way and conquered the world, basically, the falafel in pita. Shawarma, yes, absolutely. But not just shawarma, which again, I think pretty international now, but shawarma in Lafa. Lafa is the, I would say, it's a flatbread. Thank you so much, Joe. Thank you so much. So it's the flatbread, very popular in the Middle East, Jordan especially. So lafa, it's pretty big. It's not, pita is small, as you can see over there, pretty small, but lafa is much bigger. You can probably even use it as a towel, honestly. Yeah, schnitzel is is a big deal. I guess every Israeli family have at least 7 days a week, five. I don't know. At least. Well, and yes, obviously you can find burger steaks, however, no pork. And if it's a burger, you can have a cheeseburger. Why you can't have a cheeseburger? Because it's not kosher, right? However, you can always ask for a fake cheese or for a vegan cheese, because in kosher diet you cannot mix dairy and red meat. well, and meat in general, actually. You can mix dairy with and sushi here is a big deal. So Israelis, it costs a fortune. I like it. No, my local time is uh, I think yeah, it's about 9 p.m. now. Well, there is a time zone difference, and you can see it's already quite dark. But the thing is that this time of the year, it gets dark a little after 5 p.m. So as you can see, and not really much of a daytime we have this time of the year. And right now, I will have to be taking all these steps down in order to show you, well, the fantastic place from the point of history, from the point of view of the views. The never been my strongest. Unfortunately, had never been my strongest these conversions, as you might have noticed. But yeah, so this is about 9 p.m. my time. Sorry, what here as well is all these constructions of excavations happening at the moment, and I think it's probably the ongoing thing. However, I suggest that we do the following to save time and to also make it worthwhile. I would like to explain you a few things. Let me switch the camera. So right now I'm going to be taking the steps to show, well, to take you to the Western Wall, or the Wailing Wall, as you might have heard it. And to do this is Jerusalem. I have to pass through well, security checks. And when I pass through security checks, they want to scan my bag. They don't really like to be filmed there. So I will be switching the video, but the audio is going to be on. While I am doing, I think this is a good idea to actually start answering questions. So Robert, I think it's a good time to answer questions. For now, the video is going to stay on, but I will let you know when I'll have to switch it. Is that okay?
Sounds good, Anna. So Anna's going to go to the West Wall. She has to pass through security, so she's required to turn her camera off. But while she's doing that, we will take some questions. All right.
Yeah.
So Gabriel asks, does each quarter have its own police force?
Not exactly. There is always in Jerusalem. This is true, but it's the Israeli police. No, it's police force. There's always Israeli army in every quarter.
Speaking of that, Alana asks, how is your physical safety now while doing this presentation as a woman walking alone at night? Are there police or IDF nearby? Yeah.
IDF is always nearby. This is true. IDF is the Israeli Defense Force, which is the police and army and whatnot, everything. And it's always here. And I feel totally safe 24/7 in Jerusalem. The only thing is, and this is a very good question, that at any moment there might be a siren. Yes, this is the reality, because this is the times we go through. Can I take a minute here of just before you start, you carry on with the questions?
Sure.
This is the view I would like to show you from here while I still can, because then I have to go down and I wouldn't be able to show this. So what we see here is the Western Wall of Temple Mount. And here is so much. I could just spend here 90 minutes talking just about, and that's exactly that part of the story when Jerusalem and the Western Wall is more than just the Western Wall. It's more than just a sacred place for Jews, but because this is for sure the fact. But here you can talk about the importance of the city for Christianity, the importance of the city for Muslims, for I would say the entire world. And that's exactly what I will be talking. But once I actually will get there, because there's still a bit, there's still, some walking and some steps to take. And yes, again, you see this ugly fence. That's because there is always some construction going on. What you can see from here, this beautiful golden dome, this is the dome of the rock. This is one of the holiest sites for Muslims. And the behind this yellow wall, it belongs to Muslims. Or it is accessible for non-Muslims, but days of the week at certain time through interesting kind of a tunnel, or how to call this, through this. At any other entrance, through any other gates, it's only Muslims that can enter the Temple Mount. But we are going to enjoy that area. Yes, let's continue with the question. Thank you so much, Robert, for putting this together. I know how challenging this might be.
We're making it work. We're making it work, Anna.
Thank
Gabriel, yeah, Gabriel asks by the way, you're doing all the work, Anna. So Gabriel asks, in the Jewish quarter, who owns the land and property? Do store owners rent?
That's a good question. So it's residential area, and all the buildings are property. And it's actually, I think it's individual. Some people may buy the ground floor, just a shop, or they can rent it, but it's all privatized. Well, obviously, I'm not talking about the museums. I'm not talking about the excavations and ruins. Other than that, it's property. Yes.
So Maria says there seems to be a lot of people walking late at night. I think you said it's 9 o'clock there. Are they walking home from work or for classes? Is it normal to have so many people walking around at night?
Well, a very good question. The thing is that the Western Wall is open 24/7, and anyone can visit it at any time. 24. You just need to pass through security check. That's it. And right now there are not too many people actually here, but people go out to see friends. There are still some tourists here, and I would say that the Western Wall of this area, it's also referred to as the Western Wall Plaza, because it's I would say plaza compared to the rest of the. It's a lot of lots of space, I would say, and people just, I would say like this: there are people from the entire Israel to the Western Wall, and they come when they can, and many like in the night because there are no traffic jams, and it's also tickets. It's free of charge for everyone, Christians, anyone. So yeah, but it's now because of the situation. I had to take my from the fence. Well, because the situation, they're not so bad. There are planes, and they rally each other. Hanukkah just finished a few days ago. And families get together, and yeah, they went to Israel. Very crazy rate. Yeah,
A lot of folks
great question.
asking about, oh, sorry, Anna. Yeah, so a lot of folks asking about the weather. What's the weather like at the moment? And is it currently winter in Israel?
Exactly. It's currently winter, which means no snow for us here, obviously. However, once in 5 or 6 years, we actually do get some snow, but it doesn't look like a ski resort. It doesn't. I would say it's just windy, because Jerusalem is pretty high in the mountains. It's windy, and because of the wind, it feels quite cold. Right now, I think we do it in Celsius here, so conversion to Fahrenheit also might help. I think it's around 12 degrees Celsius right now, but it feels maybe maybe even colder a little bit.
Area. So 12 degrees Celsius is like 53 degrees Fahrenheit. Joanne asks, is there a subway system? Some ancient cities run into difficulties because of ancient ruins. So is there a subway system in Jerusalem?
Well, there is no subway. That's a very good question. There is no subway system in Jerusalem, but the trains, I would say there are train stations. There is a train station, one, it's Haknavon, named after an Israeli president. It's underground, very deep underground. You can say that this is a subway system, but no, because of the terrain, because of the bedrock, because it's mountain. We are in the mountains, so there are tunnels. Israelis are very good in construction of all the roads and tunnels, but we don't have the underground system here because of the ruins and because of the bedrock. Okay, so before I go security check and switch the camera off, but again, I'll keep the sound on and I will be answering your questions. I would like to show you something. So let me switch the camera and show you this. I'll have to, oh, actually, I will go down the steps and show it to you from there. More ruins, more ruins. Just rubble, stones, rocks, capitalism, whatnot. Just give me a second. Okay, and you know what I'm going to do? I'll have to squeeze you all in, 200 plus people, and yep. And I hope I won't make you dizzy. So what you can see, yeah, just ruins, but these are very important ruins. What we're looking at is another road that was the road just next to the most important place, the Temple Mount. These ruins date back to the first and the second century Common Era. The ruins are here because, as I said, in year 70 AD, the temple was destroyed by the Romans, by Emperor Titus. And what they did, so the temple wall was much higher, and there was a fire that was started. Well, they set up a fire in the temple. Large bricks started to fall down and crash the stores. It was, there also were stores from both sides of that street, and the large stones, many tons in weight, gigantic size, would be falling down and crushing everything. And up until 1967, there was nothing here. It was just all covered it was just underground, basically. And then when the excavation started, they discovered those stores, and they discovered the stone paving. The stone paving that dates to the first century BCE, first century CE, which means this is the times when Jesus lived. And Jesus was a Jew. And Jesus, well, when he was crucified, why was he in Jerusalem? He didn't live in Jerusalem. He came to visit Jerusalem for Pesach, for Passover, for one of the pilgrimage festivals. And he would go to the Temple Mount to pray, to make a sacrifice in the temple. And he would walk the same road. So because Jerusalem, and now I'm squeezing you out of this fence, and I'm about to switch the camera and go through security checks. It might take me some time, but luckily there are not so many people. Oh, sorry, I just wanted to switch the video. Yep. So because Jerusalem was destroyed by the Romans and turned into a pagan city in the second century, 135 CE, that's what I already said. There's not so much from times of Jesus. So that was the great discovery. Give me a minute. I need to ask the security about how they instruct me. Sliha, will you check it like this, or you're not filmed? Don't worry. Yes. Yeah, Robert, I'm ready to answer questions.
Well, just making sure. Yeah. So Michelle asks, is it safe for tourists in Israel at this time? And in general, what is the best time to visit?
Well, there is war going on in Israel. and just this. So there can be sirens even at this very moment. So many people consider it very not really insurance agents, but you see, people leave people school to kindergartens, and yeah, people pay double for the shrinks, in this kind of, life goes on. And considering the visit, it's, you know, waiting just a little bit, you know, but as life goes on, it's just not so easy to this while you're not in here. If you don't have friends and family living, it look like something horrific, right? Wars going on, and see this. It feels and it looks different here. That's why I'm doing these tours to to show how things are. Thank you for the question.
So Anna, Maxine asks, do people still put papers with prayers in the Western Wall's bricks?
Yes, exactly. You know what? This is a fantastic question, and just about to show this to you. I'm here. I'm here by the kotel. We call it kotel Marav, which means Western Wall brick. And we are here. I'm just not sure whether in the spot. I'm just going to see a very small screen. Can everybody have the big screen?
We got the big screen. Your bandwidth is good.
Ah, okay, that's fantastic. Yes, normally here it's fine because there are no roof here. There are no heavy stones above our heads. So here the connectivity is fine. And well, let's see the Western Wall. The Western Wall, since well, it used to be just a wall up until 70 AD when the temple was destroyed, which, well, again, it also includes the times of Jesus. So Jesus saw the temple, and the wall was just a wall. So the wall meant nothing to Jews. But ever since the temple was destroyed, but these bricks that the Jews have. Well, obviously the Jews were mourning. That's why it's called the wailing. And this is how these bricks became the stones. Stones became that important. Well, I'm going to spy a little bit. You see, I'm gonna have to step on here. That's what actually women do. The thing is that the wall, since it's the closest to the temple, is now the big air synagogue, which means that there is the men's and women's section. As a woman, I cannot enter here, but I will visit that section. In Hebrew, it's called Ezrat Nashim, women's section, basically. So we are going to see the kvitelachs, which is the notes, again in Hebrew. And that's what I was talking about. You see this very interesting passageway, corridor, I don't know what exactly to pull it, to name it. It's called Mograbi Gate. And as I said, this is exactly the only way that non-Muslims, so Christians, Jews, Mount, the only place non-Muslims cannot visit is the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Only Muslims are allowed to enter Al-Aqsa Mosque. Okay, so before we wrap this up and have more questions, I'm taking you to the women's section of this very big open air synagogue, and clearly the holiest place for Jews available. So let's see. I'm on my way. You will see a lot of women here, and you can also see that some women going backwards. That they show respect to the temple. You see, women are standing very wall. They can touch it. They can make emotional here, and they cry with people, and they pray. They can. You see, there are cheers here. There's also the parasols when it's hot and sunny, people can spend here hours. Again, the place is open 24/7. So you can imagine it can get really, really, really crowded. Right, too loud because people are praying. I would like to take you as close as possible to the wall so you could actually see the clitoris, right? Uh, just a minute. Slicha. That's what it's see, these are all the codes. And well, at some point they should get too much and they will start falling out. I will tell you what they do with this once I'm away from here. Just want you to see this. Just give me a moment. I don't want to talk. Yes, you're right. Some restrictions were imposed later. You're very right. There were too many restrictions or too many changes over the course of this just couple of dozens of years as a result of different negotiations with the attempt to normalize, well, somehow resolve the Arab-Israeli conflict. So, yes. So what happens to these kritalachs, to these notes? Well, they are not thrown away. They are all taken out several times a year by a special organization, and they are not, they don't get recycled, they're not thrown away, they get buried in the Mount of Olives, which is exactly behind the Temple Mount. So right around behind this wall, there is the Temple Mount, the Muslim holy sites, and used to be the place where Jesus himself on the pilgrimage fest several times a year. And behind the western wall of Olives, which is the Jewish cemetery, there are also many important Christian sites, such as the Church of Gethsemane. This is the place where Jesus prayed before crucifixion, before he would be taken and imprisoned by the Romans and by the Sanhedrin. So there are many things to talk about. So these notes buried just like the Jewish people get buried in the Mount of Olives. So this is the time for questions. Again, questions and answers. Well, questions is my favorite part of the tour, to be honest. So yeah, Robert, I'm all yours.
All right, so folks, we have about 5 more minutes for questions. If you have any questions, please type them into the Q&A. Let's see here. So just to clarify, Nancy wants to know, why is the wall also sometimes referred to as the Wailing Wall?
Very good question, Nancy. The answer is, however, very simple. Wailing Wall because people mourn the loss of the temple. That's why it's called the Wailing Wall. But the name was not given by the Jews because like Wailing Wall, it sounds a bit sarcastic. It was given by non-Jews. So the Jews call it the Western Wall. In Hebrew, the Kotel Hamarav. That's it, just the Western Wall.
So Valerie asks, what happens when people walk by rubble like Hezekiah's wall? What prevents people from tampering with the stones, with the rubble?
Well, there was a big fence there, pretty high actually.
Yeah.
It also had to be very high because the children could fall anytime. It would be horrible. They could hurt themselves. Yeah. So yeah, there are the fences and some ruins such as the corridor. It's all fully adjusted and it's totally safe for people to walk. Yeah.
So Louise asks, what type of rock was used to build the Western Wall?
Limestone. Or Jerusalem stone, it's basically called, but it's a limestone thing you can see in colors. And you must have noticed that stones are different. That's because these walls were destroyed and rebuilt multiple times. So let's say what you can see here, the very low level, it's still the Herodian stones, which means the first century BCE. And then let me show you and zoom it in. You will see we go, the smaller the stones are. So let's say this could be the Cruciate period, and this is most probably the Ottoman period. See history just with the naked eye.
Couple of people commenting on the wardrobe of the women. It's an anonymous attendee says most of the women seem to have on long dresses. Is that because it's cold, or is there some other reason?
Oh, that's a good question. Actually, it is cold now. You know, Israel is just so spoiled by really nice, warm, and sometimes hot weather that this is like real winter for them, and they just really wear hats, coats, scarves, gloves. But you must have noticed that women are all here only wear skirts. That's because religious women, I'm talking about religious, right? The Jews, the women are not allowed to wear men's clothing, which means they cannot wear jeans or uh, trousers or whatnot, or even or shorts. And also there is such a thing. It's called tzionut, which is modesty. So Jewish women, well, the again religious women should dress modestly. And that's what you see here. Married women should cover their hair, or they can wear wigs, which sometimes cost thousands of dollars. I mean, a good wig would cost you thousands of dollars, $3,000, $5,000. Yeah, that's very good questions you're asking. Amazing.
Diane asks, is there something special about the fountain when you entered the wall area? It looked like some women were washing their hands in it.
Amazing, amazing. Yes, this is a very special ritual. This is purification. So the thing is that before entering the temple, Jews had to immerse themselves in a mikveh just for spiritual purification. And right now, well, there is no mikveh here, which is a big bath, and you should fully immerse yourself in the water. Again, not to clean your body, but to clean your spirit, basically. But here, it's called netilat yadayim, which means like you ascend your hands by purifying them to heaven, to God. And a certain way to do it, you should do it 3 times. One hand washes the other, and then other way around. You do it 3 times, and then you're ready to go pray. It's called netilat yadayim, and you do it with the help of these I don't know what you call it, jogs. Those special jugs and you see it has 2 handles. That's because you should hold it with your clean hand. So if let's say you wash your right hand, you hold it here, and then you change your hand and you wash the other hand.
Jeff asks, is there anything left of the Eastern Wall?
Oh, it depends on which period you're talking about. The Eastern Wall is there. Yes, it looks pretty well. Again, there was lots destroyed as well. The thing is, let me switch the camera. There used to be golden gates in the Eastern Wall, and the golden gates are exactly considered the gates through which a Messiah was supposed to come. For Jews, Messiah is, well, he hasn't come yet. For Christians, Jesus was Messiah, and Jesus was resurrected, and Jesus again. So when Jesus comes back again, right, as a Messiah for Christians, he's supposed to come from the Mount of Olives and enter the Temple Mount through the Golden Gates. But the Ottomans, so again, which came to the land in 1516, and their period finished. So I mean, the Ottoman period finished with the end of the First World War, 1917. They covered up the Golden Gates, probably because of the importance of the Golden Gates. Other than that, again, it's the same situation. Up to a certain level, there will be Herodian stones, the stones from the 1st century BCE, and then the higher you go, the newer the stones would be. finishing with the Ottoman period. So the walls of the old city, the Temple Mount walls, so the last changes will be from the Ottoman period.
So our pals over at the Ware Library are asking, is this your first time providing a tour of historic Jerusalem? And so Anna, do you want to talk just a little bit about your background and your tour business? Linda also asked, Linda says, do you live in Israel? Were you born in Israel? Thank you for the great tour.
Thank you so much. So this is not my first time. Virtual tour, not my first time doing tours in Jerusalem as well. I've been doing virtual since 2020, basically since the pandemic. I'm a tour in 3 countries. I'm a tour guide to St. Petersburg in Russia. I left Russia when the Russian-Ukrainian war started, and to Israel. And last year I qualified, and I'm a life to Israel now. Because of October, my family left. It was very hard on my son, and we left. Right now, we don't live in Israel, but I come to Israel very often for my work and for my studies, because there is always something to study if you want to be a good guide. Because of this situation, because of the war, there is no really tourism here. So, it's a bit tough being a tour guide in a situation like that. So, but we're pretty optimistic for 2025. Let's see.
So with that, Anna, I think so. We've hit the 1 hour mark. Do you have any last words for the audience before we wrap it up?
Oh, yes, sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me, Robert, for the great managing of the tour. I wouldn't have been able to do this without your help and support. Sorry for and this is not the best city for virtual tours, live streams, I mean. But thank you for your patience with the connectivity issues. And there is always a certain angle you can look at things, right? And I would say that it's important just to have an open mind when you want to learn something about the Holy Land. Its complexity, I think it's just beautiful because of it's so complex. And again, the Holy Land is holy for Jews, Christians, and Muslims. And I'm saying it in order of appearance, not in order of importance. So, and we just should cherish it. We should protect it. We should be proud of it. But, it's not always like this. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you, Anna. Lovely to meet you. Folks, let's give Anna a big virtual round of applause for a great presentation. Folks, look for an email for me tomorrow with a link to this recording, as well as information about some other upcoming virtual programs that might be of interest. We're going to be zooming to Mexico City for a live tour next Tuesday. That'll be at 2 o'clock Eastern. And when you exit the Zoom right now, please make sure to take the feedback survey that pops up. It's 7 questions, probably take you a minute or 2. So thank you all so much. Anna, thank you in particular. Wonderful job. Don't worry about the connectivity issues. You can't control that. What you can control, you did a wonderful job. So thank you all so much. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Toda rabah.
Yeah.
Laila tov. Good night from
Good night.
Jerusalem. Bye-bye.